When I first started in the newsroom back in 1985, I was a very quiet and shy retiring person.
Rubbish.
Ken, I wasn't I? Ken Oxley, well, really?
No, he's shaking his head.
But you know, the 80s, it was a man's world, and it was so sexist. It was the norm for crews to ring up and say, I don't want to talk to a tart on the desk, put a man on. It was the norm for a cameraman to ring me up and say, what underwear are you wearing? And I have to tell you that I had to toughen up quick or I wasn't going to stay in the newsroom. So I did. And I became this hardened person. And I'm sorry, but it was... I had to do it to survive. There was, I'd only been in the newsroom about a week or two, and my husband rang the news desk. And, well, as my colleagues will testify, my husband rang the news desk very frequently. In fact, I remember I can't remember what the story was, but a huge story had broken, and in the middle of it all, the phone rang, and I picked it up frantically, thinking it was something important. And my husband said, Louise, how do you cook sausages? Anyway, this day he rings, I'd only been there about a week, and the news org, and I won't mention any names. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but Mike Blakey, he answered the phone, and my husband said, could I speak to Louise, please? And Mike Blakey, holding the phone aloft, looked across the newsroom for me and then shouted, anyone seen Louise, the new girl with the big tits? That's an absolutely true story. So, in those days, the cameramen were very scary. They had tweed suits on and bow ties. And most of them had two wives. At the end of the day, they would come up and whisper in my ear what telephone number they would be on that night. And boy, did you make sure you got it right. Of course, things have changed a lot in the last few years. Thankfully, mobile phones have made a difference. So the crews today, talented, professional, keen, happy. Oh, sorry, wrong page. Moaning, miserable. No, that is unfair. They are actually a wonderful lot. And I'm talking about freelancers as well here. No, they've helped me out so many times when you think you've got nothing left to give, and then somebody will say, okay, I'll do it. And there's loads of examples I could give. There's loads of names I could name, but it's just too many. But you've all been, for me, I have to say, wonderful, and have kept the news desk going, kept the newsroom going, and you're unsung heroes. You are. And so all I can say is, you know, there's too many of you to mention, but thank you.
Do we have more money?
Engineers. I have to mention the engineers. Lovely lot. Always wanted to know when their next meal break is. But you rarely let me in the news desk down, and I have to say you're always there when we want you, most of the time. I must also mention the BFOs or the DRs. I don't know if there's any of them here tonight. If Pedro, I can see here. Again, unsung heroes. A lot of people don't realise just how much they get the news on the air. Fabulous, fabulous people. So to all of them, the engineers and the crews, I salute you all. I did get a reputation for being on the desk every time a big story broke. But it just so happened that nearly all the time I was on the desk when a big story broke. There was Hungerford was my first one. I remember a crew screaming at me down the store now, the old radio those days, "It's Bicester, not Bicester." Well, I'm from Glasgow, for Christ's sake. The Herald of Free Enterprise, only one of my colleagues this evening was saying, "What story was that?" You know, I can't believe that people are young that don't remember the Herald of Free Enterprise, but you know, King's Cross fire, train clashes, plane crashes, July the 7th and the Tottenham riots. I've been there for most of them, royal births, royal deaths. I've been on shift for a lot. Diana, the Queen Mum, the Pope. In fact, as was said, I used to say a wee prayer saying, "Please, please God, don't let me be on shift when Mandela dies. I really don't want to be there." And of course, I was on shift when he died. But as we'd had 3 or 4 dry rehearsals, it was an absolute cinch, so that was fine. Elections, Olympics, Lund Point. I'm still having nightmares. I don't think unless you were there you could realise just how stressful it was. And the fact that I could have turned round to my lovely colleague Amanda and screamed at her, "I'm going to shove that fucking spreadsheet, Amanda, where the sun don't shine," is proof that I was stressed out. But I have truly worked with some amazing people. Colleagues I have laughed with and cried with, and you know who you are. And I've really fought with, to be honest, some of you I know. Some weird, some wonderful, but you're all professional and very talented people. All the lovelies on planning. I know I sometimes gave you a hard time, but I had to get my enjoyment from somewhere. I mean, really. But for what seems like forever, I have worked with a very small band of people. And Amanda and Jad and Helen and Sally and Julia. And I know there's a couple of oldies here from Glasgow, Caroline and Candida. And we have had a blast. And for that, I say thank you and well done.